Let's give it a little time. Welcome back to another stream, everyone. Happy 2026. It's been a long year last year, but here we are into a new market, which I'm going to just briefly break down real quick because I think we have a lot of good opportunities coming for this year of 2026, and it's something that needs to be taken held of and dominate this year. There's no reason why you should not be able to make some type of profits and end the year profitably going into 2027 because you're getting the jump start now. I think last year a majority of people already knew that they wanted to be trading. Majority of people already knew that they wanted to be in this industry and try to succeed here. So I'm going to just break down a few little things. Today's not going to be such a long live stream. I just wanted to touch on some of the things. I've taken a very few amount of trades just because we're coming off of the break. If I show my calendar here real quick, you'll basically be able to see that we have, it was a Christmas week before, right? So I stopped trading just about the 17th. We'll show that in a bit. But this week, Christmas week, didn't trade. The next week didn't trade. And for this week, I think we took about one trade or two trades. Nothing much. Next week, we will be getting way more into it. Gold has been going back to its all-time highs. And in my point of view, this will continue going up, especially going into next week, just given that we're approaching back the highs and we have a lot of bullish momentum in the market now. And next week is when we can really kickstart back into normal activities, and especially just going into the next month. I think this month, January, is very much a transitional month, just because we're leading it from last year, and there's a lot of carryover from last year, and just the initial hype of a lot of what should we call them, liquidity coming into the market. So all these things aside, I'm just going to briefly touch on some of these things and let you go about your day. But '26 is a year that a lot of people that are messaging me about wanting to do better, you have all these plans, these strategies, these methods on being successful in the market. You got to at least put one of them to successful use this year. That is key, important. But we can see that even on this, gold is going up, and we're looking to have this continue to go up. Rejection of this level, came back almost to this level down here, the last candle high point. So we're looking to have this continue push up and up and up. Silver, looking for that to get pushed up and up and up this year. These commodities are highly important. Something else that I've realized, and something that I've seen discussed online, is just in regards to the US dollar being, backed by gold. The US has so much gold, and it appears as Putin came out and said that he would think that the US is far exceeding the amount of gold that they have. They're printing far too much cash, and basically the value of gold will continue to rise because the US is making such a damaging move, essentially. And so these commodities, things like, I think, water, if you can find your investment in water, that would be a crazy investment to have. That's crazy leverage to have, just because we know that AI is using somewhat of a considerable amount of water, and water is something that we have a lot of that seems very plentiful. But I remember some people explaining it back in the day where it's like there are really just a few companies that are making the water drinkable, because most water is not just drink straight away. It has to be cleaned, has to be purified, and so that we can drink it. And so now it's because there are companies willing to spend some money to have this process done, and so they can try to make a profit on the people. But if these few companies go out of business, the price of a water bottle or the price of water is going to increase significantly, just because we don't have those companies in place already producing the water. Producing clean water will become a harder task. And then with AI already having their water consumption, water is a good investment. Gold is a good investment because, like I mentioned, with what the US is doing, the more and more that this goes on and the US continues to print cash, and I just have to stress the point of, if the US continues to print cash, which most likely they will, COVID would have been a good time right before COVID to get started on the same thing. Look at the percentage increase of gold over 2025. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And inflation compounds. All these things would compound going into the preceding years. 2026, 2027, up until 2030, when the AI takeover is really supposed to be effective and in place and, representative. These are the investments I'm at least looking to take. Sure, there's some stocks you can do as well, but when it comes to commodities, gold, silver, oil, I don't really care too much about. But gold, silver, there are maybe some cryptos which can do extraordinary well. Bitcoin. But these are the main things that I would look for to have these things, have your profits increase. Gold, I don't see slowing down any point in time. Silver, I'll show that chart real quick because this is on the same thing. What time frame are we on right now? We're on the 1 hour. Go to 4 hour, you can see the week basically began. What day are we? We're on Friday. The week began just coming off of the low. Oops. Just coming off the low. This is the beginning of the week. So we peaked highs almost to all-time high, not all-time highs, but almost to previous swing highs. We came back down and we're looking to retest that area once again. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to break it. Silver is becoming highly more valuable. Think of computers. Did the price of those NVIDIA chips not increase? Why? Because there's more AI usage this time around. Going into the future, there's going to be more use of AI. The value of those computer parts, the things that NVIDIA is producing, not only is going to increase the NVIDIA stock, but also just increase the price of all the components that go inside the materials. So gold, silver, copper, all of these, I would say, foundational pieces of value. Well, not just any value, but monetary value. These valuable pieces, these standard things like gold, silver, oil. I know I said oil is not something I'm necessarily looking to invest in, because oil is something we try to keep at a low price because people have to buy gas and all these other related things, right? But gold, silver, those type of monetary values, I see the world gonna try to take their last squeeze and get people off of these things. Make people have to sell their gold if necessary, make people have to sell their silver, their valuables, their real valuables. Because we have to remember that cash and your national currency only has value because it's supposed to be backed by gold. Or maybe your currency is backed by the US dollar, which is supposed to be backed by gold. So it's all supposed to derive from gold. But if the amount of cash being produced exceeds the amount of gold available, we're basically creating the same situation again as the 2008 housing market crash, where everybody has cash, but no one has real value. Right? And that's the point that I'm trying to get at for 2026, going onwards for the next 3 years. And I will stress this point going into maybe the next video I do, just like this, closing off this year, going into next year. I'd be more looking at the current opportunities, things that could be taken advantage of in that moment. Like I mentioned, the water supply, I see as a sensitive thing. Now, it may not seem sensitive just because we have such an abundance of water, but like I mentioned, if these few companies disappear, if these few companies stop operating and turning bad water into good water, into drinkable water, then price of water increases. Price of water definitely increases. So gold, keep your eye on that. We're going to increase a lot, mark my words, for gold. And yeah, this is something I'm looking to take my bets on for this year. Now, for some trades that I took, I didn't really take much, just because, like I mentioned, we're coming off of the year, but we closed off with this. I think this was on the live stream, the last live stream I did. We covered this trade, broken down very slightly. You can see our stop loss got hit. We're in this trade for 4 days, 13 hours. We covered 4.6 pips and 1.35%. So nothing major. And then we took this trade on, well, this trade was taken on the 5th. I think that was Monday, January 5th. All right, bet. Send me a DM and we'll chop it up. I'll explain a few things. But this is where we have the Australian trade that we took. We went to take this short. This was actually the expert advisor that I have. So you might be able to see that some of these say manual trade, and that simply just means that I manually did it. Other than that, I have an expert advisor, which some of these trades are, majority of these trades are taken by the expert advisor, and only if I happen to catch the market at a good looking time on a pair that the expert advisor is not on will I take the manual trade. And everything will always be updated here, even for the people that have the auto trader system that we offer. Those things will be shown. Let me see if I can do this in your account. Let me see if I can do this. This is basically what it looks like. So this was the trade that I explained. This was about a month ago, so a little bit a while ago. That was the last one. Because of the break and the holidays, the 2 weeks of holidays, I haven't taken too many trades. These you can ignore. This is just a connection system. And like I mentioned, Australian USD, we took this short for 1.9 pips. What time frame was this? This was on the 5-minute time frame. So we can see pretty nice setup if you know what you're looking for. But as to the way my method goes and what I'm actually looking to trade, I want to find those liquidity based areas, and the EA pretty much marks it up pretty nice for me. The indicator turned EA. But what we basically have here is price is set to be on a downtrend, and this is something new I have going as well for the Z-score. In case a lot of people don't know what the Z-score is, it's basically a correlation measurement between the pairs that you're looking to correlate. So I can't show you it now. I can show you it maybe on the next stream. But I have something which shows the correlation between all of them, all of the main pairs that I was looking at. So the pretty much the majors, the major forex pairs, gold, silver. I have some other things in that lineup, but it's to make a method on what Jim Simmons, I think his name is Jim Simmons, teaches. Just that there's a correlation between all of the markets. Like it's a big, what was the word he used? Mono something? Something to basically show that the surface is not flat. It is not set in stone. The surface of the market moves, right? Depending on different events, different factors. He considers weather, opening prices, all these type of things. So whatever. Trend being downtrend, I then have the EA plot the highs and lows to draw the Fibonacci's, and there we get our rejection of our first level, the 127 level, and it takes our entry. It takes our entry pretty nicely, and in this case it's 1.9 pips. We're risking 1.33%, and we can see the reason. So 127, one candle close. It's supposed to be a 1% risk. This slight error, but it's supposed to be 1.9 pips, as it shows here. These are, surprisingly, two separate systems. This and this, two separate systems. So this trade comes back for a loss. We lose 1.3935%, and you can basically see. So it sent another picture just to show that that is exactly where we exited. And whatever. This trade lasted 19 minutes. It's not a big deal, not to me at least. I'm just looking for the next opportunity that I could take and for the next good setup. So then we get a setup here. So this is a manual trade I took over on GU. Long. And you can basically see this is what we had. So 15-minute timer, 15-minute time frame. I was using this at the time. This is currently off. Like this feature wouldn't be available now, but we have the Z-score detecting that the ripple is at this level, basically indicating it's bullish, so price should continue up. We don't have our stop loss and our take profit in there. We take another trade at maybe 5 pips, 0.5 pips less. So micro pips, 5 micro pips, something like that. And so there we come through, and we just have a small, I believe I switched over my account temporarily for this test. What is this? 0.7. So yeah, I think ultimately when I take this trade here on AU, you can see that the percentage is fairly different just because the account size is fairly different between this and then the GU. So GU, we can't see our, yeah, you can see 0.02 taken. That says 4408 or 06, one of them, 4406 probably. And then this was the next one, so you could see them a little clearer. And then this is just how those trades close. So first one closes for a win. We made a very small gain, 1.3 pips, 4.42%, and we're in the trade for 1 hour and 14 minutes. Not bad. This is really just a test. I'm just making sure, just testing a feature. And so this here is the other trade that closed 1.8 pips in profit and at 2.98% increase. And so this one, same amount of time. You can actually see these should be sent at the same time. So 226, 226. So yeah, same exact time. And manual close. Very simple stuff, but just to show that I took these trades. And so we're in this trade for an hour. You can see that this is now the 1 minute time frame, but you can see how the Fibonacci works. You can see that the Fibonacci has two projections. It can show more if you wish for it to show more, but it's not needed in this case. I prefer just have it 2 and not have my chart too overcrowded. And so the indicator, the indicator and the expert advisor, I can say, because the Fibonacci changes colors based on where price is and how it interacts with the key levels. But as long as we get a rejection at our key levels, which is identified here in blue, we can look to take our trades to the upside just because the trend is set to be bullish. Now, there's no real point in going through that, but there's different ways to capture the trend. You just need a higher time frame trend bias and use these lower time frames. You don't necessarily have to go to the 1 minute. This just happened to be what the chart was on when the picture was sent. So you can see these other ones up here is what this is 1 minute as well. Or yeah, so first one's 15 minute. Even if we go back to some other trades, these were all taken probably not on stream, but they were a part of the previous stream. So you could check those out in the previous videos. But yeah, we're just waiting for some other setups. The EA is still running, just no opportunities has been taken on actually going long or short. And like I mentioned, 2026, a year to dominate and a year to just take hold, take proper risk, survive the markets. These things, even if you have to buy spot or you buy contracts, you don't have to buy lots, like lots. Speaking in jargon, but you know, if you go trade, if you're on your Forex account, you have the opportunity to trade gold. You can put 0.10, and if you do 0.10, then that's going to be 10,000 units. So you have that option, which is definitely, I would say, more riskier. You could just go out and buy a piece of gold, which obviously your money would increase less, but your value essentially is never going to go away. It may decrease, sure, over a bad period of time, but overall you can actually hold that value. In Forex, if you take that trade there, like I mentioned, 0.10, 10,000 units, then there's a good chance you blow your entire account before profits come. You could also use like a bank app, a banking investing thing, and if they offer gold positions, if they offer silver, whatever, you can generally buy for fractional orders, which just means you can put in generally as much money as you want and you'll get that amount. So it's like buying spot, but instead you don't have to pay the full spot price. You can just pay whatever you want and they'll give you that fraction. It's fractional positions. But yeah, that being said, I think I touched on everything that really needs to be touched on. If we look at oil has been going back up just a little. Wow, Trump really brought oil down, eh? Look at this amazing setup. Swing high to swing low, just like the Fibonacci does. We come to our 127 level, very acutely, very on point before the gradual move down. Same thing that we have setting up right now. These are all trickery moves. These are all I don't want to call them fake outs, but these are liquidity grabs. They're meant to make you lose your money before the price goes with the original trend. So not to say that it necessarily needs to reject the 127 level, but it could also go to the 1.61 level just to maximize the amount of losers that the market creates. The shift is always taking place. I can speak about this for hours, and there will be more streams. But definitely just tune into the Discord, go on to the website. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Just go on the website and join. Start with a free package. Start with something that you can start getting your brain to think about how the world actually functions. And when you do that, start making some more money. What other key things are there to touch on in the market? Forex pairs, I don't really expect them to do much besides do what they normally do, just go up and down over a fairly high range. Yeah, go up and down over a fairly high range. Generally same thing over time. Stocks, obviously invest in Elon Musk. Tesla's not going down unless he just does something very stupid. And anything he's done previously is not stupid, right? So if he does something stupid like diss the Jews, you know, then his company would crash, maybe. Who knows? But DXY, good indicator for how a lot of other things should move. And yeah, pretty sure that's all I've got to say for this. But let me wrap it up. If you go to join, you obviously have different options. I did say that you could just join the Initiate program and just start for free. But you can also just come here and do the Initiate or join the First Degree. Start actually learning step by step. Put it that way. Everything that would actually lead to profitable trading is there in the First Degree. If you just want to see if this is for you, get general knowledge, I do have a PDF here in the Initiate program which goes step by step how to succeed as well. But this is a PDF, not the explainers, and you don't have my constant help. Other than that, you do have some automation programs that I have. There will be more sets of automation as I bring an easier workflow here and just try to speed up your trading to go from not knowing nothing to making money in the market. You do have the ability to backtest, so I know there's a lot of people that pay for TradingView, and to do the backtesting feature, you know, there's somewhat limited features and you have to pay what, $25, $30 a month just to use that. Here you can get it $9 and do all the backtesting you want, and it has all the same features and some more ones that you really do consider. I found I needed them, and so they're there. You also have some codes, so any indicators, expert advisors that I do produce and that I use, just like that Fibonacci, is available there. Other than that, we do have alerts. That chat that I just showed you where where these trades are being sent to, these are for the alerts, and then you could pick up and just take the same exact trades that I'm taking. Last but not least, those same trades will be copied over to your account, my master account, your slave account. You just type in the link, all set up, you set your lot size, and all the trades are copied over. Whether I place trades, close trades, partial take profits, anything like that, those are all copied over, and it makes the process a lot simpler. Let me just briefly go back to gold. Gold will continue to pump. That being said, I will catch you guys in the live stream. I really appreciate you coming through and tuning in.